They weren't searching for danger, they were searching for history. But the moment they stepped into the Brazilian jungle, something felt wrong. The maps started to lose meaning, the signals began to fade, and the deeper they went, the more it felt like the jungle already knew they were there. Then they found it, a perfectly shaped clearing that wasn't supposed to exist. And that's when they realized, they weren't the first to discover this place, but they might be the last to leave. They went looking for a lost city in the Brazilian jungle, but none of them expected that the journey would begin thousands of miles away in the United States, inside a quiet university research lab where old maps, faded journals, and satellite images covered every surface. The team was made up of 5 individuals, each bringing a different skill, but sharing the same quiet obsession with forgotten places. Daniel, the leader, had spent years studying unexplained regions of South America, convinced that there were still secrets hidden beneath thick green canopies. Alongside him was Rachel, a historian who specialized in ancient civilizations, always searching for patterns in stories others dismissed as myths. Marcus handled navigation and technology, his laptop constantly processing terrain data, while Elena, a botanist, was fascinated by how nature could completely erase the traces of entire cities. The youngest member, Tyler, documented everything with his camera, hoping their journey would become something the world could witness. It all started with a single discovery, an unusual formation spotted deep within the Brazilian jungle through satellite imagery. At first glance, it looked like nothing more than a random clearing, but Marcus noticed something strange about its shape. It wasn't natural. The edges were too precise, too symmetrical, almost like the outline of structures buried under years of growth. When Rachel compared it with centuries-old explorer journals, she found vague references to a city of stone swallowed by green, a place no one had ever confirmed. Most historians had ignored those writings, assuming they were exaggerated tales, but Daniel saw something different. He believed they were looking at the first real clue. Weeks turned into months as they prepared. Equipment was tested, routes were planned, and every possible risk was considered. The jungle was known for being unpredictable, not because of anything dramatic, but because of its sheer vastness and silence. It was the kind of place where directions could blur and time could feel distorted. Still, the team remained focused. They weren't chasing treasure or fame, they were chasing answers. Before departure, Daniel gathered everyone one last time in the lab. He didn't give a motivational speech or make promises of success. Instead, he simply reminded them that not everything they find will make sense, and sometimes, the greatest discoveries raise more questions than answers. The flight from the United States felt longer than expected, not because of distance, but because of anticipation. Each of them carried their own thoughts, their own reasons for being there. When they finally landed and began moving closer to the edge of the jungle, the atmosphere shifted. The air grew heavier, the sounds changed, and the horizon slowly disappeared behind endless layers of green. Standing there for the first time, they realized something important. Maps could guide them to a location, but they couldn't prepare them for what it would feel like to step into a place where almost no one had ever stood. As they took their first steps into the jungle, the outside world seemed to fade away completely. The sunlight barely reached the ground, filtered through thick leaves above, and every direction looked the same. Yet somewhere ahead of them, hidden beneath years of silence and nature's careful cover, was the outline of something impossible, a city that history had forgotten, but not completely erased. And without saying it out loud, each of them felt the same quiet thought forming: if the city was real, then what else might still be waiting to be discovered alongside it?